Get ready for an uplifting experience with Coached Soul. Join us as we bring you the dynamic duo of Steve Hudgens, a licensed professional counselor, and Kenya Evelyn, a transformational leadership coach. Together, they'll guide you through engaging episodes filled with valuable insights and actionable tips on mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Coached Soul is your go-to podcast for empowering discussions that will help you thrive. So let's get started and welcome our hosts, Steve and Kenya.
All right, Kenya, welcome. And it's just, we've had a bit of break of hot weather. If you want to call 3 degrees less than 100 a break, I'll take it.
Right.
Just something about hitting that 100 just gets into your mind, you know?
July, man.
It
That's
is.
just what it is. That's just what it is. Exciting. July and August. Here it has been special as well. Last weeks of summer. Can you believe it? For those of us starting a new school year, let's get going.
Oh, that's next month. That's coming. And it's been
coming fast.
Yes, it's a challenge because I'm finishing up on my dissertation piece. I'm having to prep my syllabus and test and curriculum for my graduate students that I'll be teaching at Rogers State University this year. I'm excited about this new chapter in my life. And
Amazing.
so, you just can't be afraid of change or be afraid of making changes or what the future may hold. When you think about fear, what comes to mind for you besides a horror movie?
Something I heard years ago, the first time I went to a Tony Robbins event, fear, false experiences appearing real. It's just it's false. It is so far from truth. But it feels truth. It feels real.
Yeah.
It feels heavy. Sometimes it feels paralyzed. It feels doubtful. Sometimes it's the only thing you can actually feel. And yet it's so far from truth.
When you think about a weapon to use against fear, is my acronym called FAITH. FAITH. My acronym for FAITH is forging attitude and trusting Him. Because it's my attitude that I need to forge and trusting God that I can get through this fear that I'm having. And fear is normal, but are we getting stuck in fear? Is that flight freeze moment that we have, or we want to fight, or do we want to fly, or do we freeze in the moment of fear? What's the old saying? There's nothing to fear but fear itself.
That's right. That's right.
So when you do transformation with your clients, Kenya,
Yes.
how do you move that frequency? Because fear is a frequency.
Yes, it is. Everything is a frequency.
So how do you make
this mic gets, to be materialized right here? It was on a frequency, the elements, the electricity inside it, my voice, my being, closing chest and opening chest. Our physiology really helps to shift whatever is going on in our field. Now, talking about the fear itself, how do I help my clients is, first of all, I witness their fear. When I was first starting coaching, I was not a mentor. I was flat out, from therapy to psychology to coaching itself. I was very eager to shift. Ooh, I am going to help people shift. Let's shift. Let's live our best life. Starts now. Let's go. Let's go. And what I miss, and again, I'm going to correct myself because I didn't miss. It was my authentic self at that moment in my beginning stages. Because I saw you in your greatness, I was eager for you to see yourself in your greatness and step into the version now. I am no longer eager. And because I don't have the shift energy, let's shift now, let's transform now, I have the witnessing energy, which is pure love. And when I say I carry the pure love energy, I'm saying I carry the intention of hold that space to allow you to feel. Because many of us are not even in our bodies to feel. We're not allowed to feel, especially if you're a man. Men don't cry, men don't this. There's so much labels about feeling. Oh, you can't be in fear because you know it's not real. Does it help you to not be in fear when I say that?
Or you shouldn't feel that way.
You shouldn't feel that way. Hey, you know better. Is that the truth? Is that the truth?
You know, that's interesting because that I feel like Sesame Street, the word of the day popped up this week, and it's fear. It's that fear of making a change. Or one of my clients says, you know, I don't want to cry. And here she is crying. And I'm like, yes. Cry.
Yes.
That's what we're made for. That emotion is to let it out, to feel. And I know she doesn't want to feel that pain.
Yeah. So when I witness my 2-year-old that bumped his head in the wall, trying to reach something, and I witness his pain, he come to me so I can kiss his boo-boo. And after I kiss, I say, is that okay? Is that okay? Okay. Then he goes and he does exactly the same thing, but now he's not afraid to have a boo-boo because it's okay to have a boo-boo. So if you grow up on a different way, let's say your parents were not there, or they were like, hey, it's nothing, just move on. They didn't really kiss the boo-boo. They didn't really reflect to you that it's all part of life.
Right.
I'm telling you that to tell you that to not feel fear is to not embody the human experience. You will feel fear. Well, every time you start something new, you will feel like, am I okay? There's this butterfly of uncertainty.
Right.
Of my relationship shifting, you know, when the kids are growing, what's happened with the relationship between a mother and a teenager, and between a husband and a wife when the kids graduate from college. I mean, it's always evolving. So my number one step to deal with transformation, to hold space for transformation, is to allow a space to witness what's the true feelings of this person. It's not for me to show to them that their fear is not real, but for them to see that fear is the shadow of light.
It's challenging these messages that we grew up on, you know, that we can't express an emotion, or we're not able to express who we are. I mean, a lot of times when I was the director of an inpatient hospital working with intensive treatment center services with DHS kids, you know, it's like they've been told they can't express because they're not doing it the right way. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. So I remember one time a kid was banging his head on a glass, and a tech was holding a towel between the glass and his head so he wouldn't hurt himself or break the window. And as I'm walking down the corridor, there were 4 other techs probably about 8 feet away. And I'm like, go away. I got this. He's going to be okay. He's frustrated. And so one kind of lingered back, and I didn't say much. And I walked down. I put myself in a position that could have caused harm to me. I slid down, I sat down on the floor, and all I said was, man, it must be tough for you. I can't imagine what you're dealing with because you're banging your head on that glass. Would you just come and just sit down and just tell me about it? I want to know what's hurting you. So in that sense, I couldn't fear. I had to face the fear by lowering myself down just by chance to see if he would join me.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Steve. And how lucky he is that you are in this stage in your life, that you actually could offer witnessing in a neutral space.
Mm-hmm.
You're not saying you're not projecting anything. You're literally just interested in the human in there. The things that I have experienced in my walk with so many different clients and students is self-judgment while you're in fear. Especially if you grew up Christian of any form, and religious of any form, forget Christian, even the Buddhist, the Hinduism,
Right.
because that will be the absence of faith. How many conferences have you been? Ooh, fear of faith, fear of faith. So
Right.
if you're experiencing fear, what I've noticed, and not just through my clients, but through my own life. Oh God, why am I here? Why am I in fear? Why? And so much judgment comes from it. So I wanna offer this conversation straight to the listeners. If you feel that any part of you are in fear right now, that part of you is asking for love. That part of you is asking for acceptance. If you are afraid that people are gonna judge you for anything, you are already judging yourself. You cannot be in faith if you're in judgment. It's not just either faith or fear. So allow yourself to bring yourself to focus on the truth that you're always guided, the truth that you are whole and complete, the truth that you're son and daughter of God, the
Right.
truth. What's the truth? So whenever you're ready to ask, what is the truth? Powerful question, by the way, powerful question. And when we are in the middle of fear, it might be hard to go straight there, but maybe you can go into your breath first. Or feeling fear, you feel freeze. So go back to your breath, go back to your breath, go back to your breath, and practice coaching yourself from shadow to light.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because from love to shadow to light, right? A passage that comes out with resonates with me is the First John 4:18. Love casts out fear. Well, what John was trying to write is that love casts out fear is a concept that fear and love can't coexist. And what he's trying to bring out is that, what does fear do? It's a natural response to perceived threats, dangers, and exactly. Right.
Do you want to get rid of fear?
Right.
Or do you want to recognize if fear is supporting you as an information, as a warning?
But what does fear lead to? Anxiety, worry, and paralyzing doubt.
Only if you live there.
Right.
So now you're judging fear.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm sitting here judging fear. Fear, don't show up because you're bad. So you label fear. So what you're pretty much saying is, now living in fear is not the same thing of experiencing fear.
Okay.
Living in fear is what leads to depression, anxiety. That is, I cannot leave the house. I cannot turn on the TV. I cannot
but
drive.
What
There's
is
a lot of
fear
people.
based on, though, is condition and expectations. And the opposite is that love is not based on condition or expectation.
100%.
So that's the opposite. So can we love and still have fear? Well, yeah, I'm not going to jump in front of a bus. I'm going to be afraid I'm going to get hit. That's a natural response.
Yes.
You know, I'm afraid of heights.
Yes.
Okay, but what do? I do something about it. So 2 or 3 years ago, I did my first helicopter ride. I've been in all kinds of airplanes. I can deal with airplanes because I'm enclosed and great. Helicopter provides a different experience for me, because the
Yes.
wind and the way it gyrates and everything else gives you a different perspective. You
And
can,
the glass going all the way down, it feels like you're outside.
yes.
Hmm.
So my next step is one or two things to conquer my fear of heights. Either I'm going to go all in, or I'm going to go halfway in. Halfway in is going into a hot air balloon, or all the way in is I'm working up the nerve to jump out of a perfectly good airplane and skydive. So it's,
That's what I want to do,
is it,
but
am I
not
nuts?
because I'm. Yeah, no, no, not at all. Um, I would do that for the sake of the adventure. I'm not
Yes,
afraid of heights, but I definitely crave that experience. So we can do it together, Steve. Let's plan on that. That would be great.
that would be great. You know,
Um,
that's the thing, is about how to, not how, but what can we do to be able to conquer our fear so it doesn't paralyze our living an adventure.
so if you are my client and you're coming in with that, first of all, I would say I'm so grateful that you raise your hand.
Hmm.
Because many of the people in fear, they are trying to coach themselves out and they're not raising their hands. And then they go in the self-judgment of, I can't believe I'm in here, in this way. I can't believe I'm here again. I thought I was better, da 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 da. And you are meant to be in community, dear listeners. You are
Mhm.
meant to do life with like-minded people. So my invitation for you is, will you be brave enough to take the first step and raise your hand? Maybe you reach out to us in this podcast, or you reach out to somebody that you have seen before, a coach that worked in the past, or a new community, a new church. I don't know, but let me tell you what, isolation leads to more of the darkness. You are not meant to be alone. And after 2020, we experienced that, and it was a super positive thing to experience that that encloseness, that opposite of freedom, if you will, just so you know that this is not for you, just so we know that this is not for us. But the opposite side of that is that some people got used to be isolated. Now they don't go to the markets anymore. They just, Uber Eats, pick up something. They just don't go out. Some people actually got a little bit more OCD. Some people got, you see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I would notice where am I in the spectrum of fear versus living
Mm.
fully. God gave you life so you will live it abundantly. You are here for your purpose, and your purpose is some variation of love.
Right.
Love yourself, love others, serve, give your gifts away, discover your gifts, ignite your voice out, all that yummy, juicy things, relationships. You are meant to thrive, not just to survive. And fear keep you close to what's known and familiar, which is safe, which is great if there's a tiger running after you. But there's
Mhm.
no tiger, then you get to be in wordiness. And I pray wordiness upon you right now, and stir the truth in your heart. Raise your hand.
You
Ask for
know,
help.
it, and the thing about it is challenging these messages that we have had.
Mhm.
And off mic, we talked about it, and I think I do want to bring, not I think, I want to bring in perspective here, that even in my therapeutic atmosphere that I deal with, I want to challenge the mental health field from stop using boundaries.
Yeah.
Because what I think is, we talk, boundary is like a
Mhm.
wall that we automatically put up as a barrier.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's what we want to create, because when I talk about boundaries per se, I talk about it's a fence, it's movable. A term is a wall that's hard to move.
Yeah.
But as we talked, I like the word threshold. What is your threshold? A threshold is where a door goes into a wall. It's, you're going to shut the door and not
Mhm.
allow anybody to come through that
Mhm.
threshold? Or are you going to open that door through that threshold? And I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, for us visual, and I love that you brought this up, Steve, because I'm not gonna say I was triggered, but maybe I was. So here you have it. The word boundaries feels like a wall. And for me, threshold, it feels like self-love. It's
Right.
self-honoring. Like this is what I am taking in my space, in my energetic field, in my body. That okay, so I'll give you a typical example. I have the most amazing family. I'm very grateful that I married a wonderful man, wonderful family, all the things. And I decided to eat to do a grape cleanse just last week, and I spent 8 days just eating grapes. It wasn't just a diet. It was therapeutic resetting of my gut, which
Mm,
meant that my threshold, right? It was that it doesn't matter who made the most yummy food. If you would put in front of me, I would have to choose, am I going to please Steve that made this, or am I going to please my body that need to get the gut, my mother-in-law? And 10 times out of 10, up until now, whatever she would put in front of me, I would eat. Number one, because it's delicious. Number two, because I love her.
right.
But not when I am doing my cleanse. So
Hmm.
I knew that we were about to do a Fourth of July gathering, and I was prepared to tell her, I love you, and I am not eating. A physical threshold.
Right.
And I noticed that she wasn't very happy because she's a Southern lady. She likes when people eat every, you
Of
know,
course.
but I get to choose. Am I choosing me and my body and loving me, or am I choosing people pleasing?
Mm,
Am I choosing this is using my voice and say to my husband and my friends, 10 p.m. is my bedtime. This day I just don't function well. Oh, but so and so is having something, and kids want to watch something. Let's have a movie night and go to. No. When are you clear? When I am clear with what works for me, my body, my mind, and my spirit, when you clear with your threshold, you actually more open and more in love with the entire world. Does it
hmm.
serve to have Kenya with her half of her battery full the next? Am I serving my kids, my clients, my husband? Versus no, 10 p.m. I close the door and I am out.
And
So
that's
a real threshold serves everyone,
correct.
leaves no one out.
And the thing is that it's not we're cookie cuttering either. It's about how do we be able to, okay, Kenya, you may come through my threshold, but a stranger, I'm going to have that threshold there. And so that's that challenge of what we need to look at is what can we do to make a difference. So Kenya, we got about 3 or 4 minutes left, and I apologize to our listeners and viewers because we're having some technical difficulty challenges going on. So bear with us. But at the same time, it's how do we deal with these interruptions of fear and thresholds? Can you kind of close us out on the frequency of fear and what are some tools that people can use to overcome that?
Beautiful. So the frequency of fear is the frequency of shadow. As bright as your calling is, your purpose is, as bigger the shadow will be. So if you can walk yourself to the one truth, like what lights you up, if fear did not exist, if money was not a thing, what would you go towards? Would you be more in the sun? Would you be more outside? Would you call a friend? to remind you of your light.
Mm.
10 times out of 10, when I am in fear, I'm not grounded. When I'm in fear, I'm feeling like the fat in the wind. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just bouncing. I'm probably not hydrated. We're 70+% water. So my invitation is to look at fear not as a feeling, but in a holistic way. Your body's experiencing contraction when you're in fear. You're not breathing.
Right.
Your spirit is in shadow. Things are not, that is the appearance of death. Emotional death, physical death, a tiger run, fire or freeze. It's the appearance. So if you can walk yourself out of practicing right now, practicing to breathe, how do I feel when my chest is open? And breathing. What kind of smells trigger openness? If you're driving right now, how does it feel when you have green lights everywhere versus everywhere you turn, there's a red light? It feels like a red light, which means there's information. Fear is not bad per se. It's telling you something.
Right.
If you are a writer, if you like journaling, if you like doing diaries when you're growing up, literally go back to childhood. What was the things that made me feel courageous, freedom, excitement? I would do it today. I will be that person today. I know I love, you love homework and this is what you do for this week, and think about that and go journal this. But the most important thing is to be in your own body. If you would be your own best friend, how would you treat you right now? Do you even know your needs? I know that if I had a twin sister, when I'm in fear, I would like to have physical contact. I would like for her to hold my hand. I would like a heart hug, those hugs that you feel each other's heartbeat. I would like a glass of water where I would charge my water with faith.
So I want to give us a visual to close out.
Yes.
Horror movies. The majority of the horror movies, and I don't like the horror movies because of what's there, but the majority of the time that horror begins is in the dark.
It's always in the dark.
And fear is always in the dark.
It's always in the dark. So
it's where you put yourself is in the light. You think about COVID, think about those things that comes about. It's being aware, not being afraid. Challenge the information that you're receiving to make sure that it's not it's not fear basing, not fear mongering.
100%. So
check the information.
The frequency of fear is a frequency of lie. It's a frequency that keeps you in the dark. And I know that we're talking today with people in different spectrum of fear. People that, no, I'm not in fear right now. I experience fear every now and then, and that is normal. You experience. The way you coach yourself when you are in fear, depending on your levels, is raise your hand, call someone that loves you, and literally I use those words. Could you please pour truth into me right now? Pour truth. Tell me everything that you see right about me, everything about me. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's called self-love, self-honoring.
Love doesn't step on others. So think about it that way. Love considers not only yourself, but others as you are elevating into a new purpose. Until next time, take care and God bless.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Coached Soul, where we aim to empower and uplift you on your journey towards personal growth and well-being. Remember, as you navigate through life, you don't have to do it alone. We encourage you to reach out to professionals, seek support from loved ones, and take the time to prioritize your own well-being. Stay tuned for future episodes filled with even more valuable insights and actionable tips. Remember, you have the power to thrive. And with Coached Soul by your side, anything is possible. Until next time, take care, stay empowered, and keep shining your brightest light.